Hi everyone, so this is the tool you are going to need. I bought mine on eBay for approximately £60. The same one was sold on Amazon too, and I read the reviews there, and this one had best reviews out of any similar tools in this price range. You will also need the usual range of spanners, pliers, 7mm Allen key and whatnot. In this video I'm not going to describe how to remove caliper and pull the axle with CV joint. You can find this elsewhere on the internet in different guides and videos. I will focus on the bearing change, how to push it out, press it in, and how to press the hub in. Also, unless you want to cut off the old wheel bearing of your old hub, I would highly recommend buying new hubs. These are very cheap nowadays. Two of them cost approximately £36. The hubs I'm showing you here are actually the ones I bought. These are the pre-facelift ones, which are actually preferable because you can use both the old style attachment with the nut or the new style attachment with the bolt of the CV joint on the axle. And then you will obviously need your bearing. I'm using the FAG or FAG, which I believe are the original ones which were actually in place there from factory. You will also need 4 wheel bolts. I used wheel bolts which you would typically use with 20mm spacers. The thread length of these bolts is 45mm, but 50mm would do great too. And you are going to use these to pull the old hub out of your old wheel bearing, basically destroying it by this way. The screws will be wedged against the frame, against the casing of the bearing, and they will crack through and destroy the ABS ring in this process too. Here you can see how the hub came off using these bolts, just screwing them in gradually, one by one, pressing against the frame behind them through the ABS ring, pulling the old hub out of the old bearing in this process. The new hubs I showed you before have new ABS rings installed on them, so don't worry about destroying your old ones. And now it's a time to remove the clip securing the bearing from the outer side. Mine was seized quite a bit and it took a lot of effort to remove it. Maybe it was there for a whole 18 years. It's probably a good idea to soak it properly in something like WD-40. Knock on the casing around it to let the vibration to lose it a bit. Knock on the clip itself. Basically try to gradually and gently pry it out. Here you can see the old clip finally removed. It is time now for our cylinder tool set, as seen in this photo. Have handy something like WD-40 silicone one. I found the silicone one to work really good on the thread of the supporting axles. Your outer cylinder will wedge against the casing and the old bearing will slide in it. You can easily determine which size you need by maybe using the new bearing and sliding it in the cylinder, see if it fits snugly. And on the inside of this assembly, the second cylinder is going to press against the inner ring of the bearing, and the two cylinders will basically push against each other, forcing the bearing out of the casing and gradually sliding this old bearing inside the outer bigger cylinder. You will also regularly spray the silicone WD-40 on the threaded axle while screwing the nuts against each other, pushing the cylinders against each other, pressing the bearing out. Now here you can see how the old bearing slid into the outer cylinder. It was quite easy, not a tough job. The next step is to clean the casing properly. Especially focus on the groove in which the new clip will fit in, and I would also test the new clip inside the groove prior to pushing in new wheel bearing. Time to use our cylinder toolset again. Here you can see how you set it up prior pushing the new bearing in. On this particular Audi TT, the diameter of the wheel bearing is 74mm and it corresponds with the outer cylinder too. So just to repeat, you will use the same diameter of the cylinder on the outer side. Align it all properly and nicely. The inside cylinder will press against the casing, the outer casing on the frame, and I can remember that the most suitable diameter for the inside cylinder in this case was 76mm. But this is relatively easy for you to figure out when you do it. We also sprayed the inner casing on the car itself with WD-40 before pushing the new bearing in, just to assist it to slide in nicely. Next up, a short video to show you how easy it is to slide new wheel bearing in using this cylinder tool. Pressing new one in with my flat mount in here. Okay, look, so easy, look, just a finger, turning it with finger, and goes nicely in. Yeah, you don't need a hydraulic press, guys. No, you can do it in situ without disturbing your geometry. You don't need wheel alignment after this. After we slid in the new bearing, it is time to secure it with the new clip tool. The specialized pliers in the photo will make the job much easier, but it's doable by using, for example, 2 screwdrivers and similarly, or other means, whatever you fancy. Now when the new clip is securely in, it's time to push the new wheel hub in too. On the inside, and similar to removing of the old bearing, you will use 52mm cylinder, align precisely against the inner ring of the bearing. So that's on the inside of your assembly here. And on the outside of this assembly, pressing onto the hub, you will use any cylinder which fits in snugly. And just to stress one point again, because it's important, on the inside of the assembly, make sure that the cylinder touches only the metal part of the inner bearing ring. Make sure it doesn't touch your rubber ring, which is around your inner metal wheel bearing ring, because it can damage the bearing upon pressing the hub in. And because this is my first time doing the front wheel bearing, I have to confess here that I messed one brand new bearing by using the wrong size cylinder on the inside of the assembly. It was actually bigger, it was pressing against the frame, so when the hub was pushing inside the wheel bearing, it was actually pushing the inner metal ring of the wheel bearing out of it, destroying it. Basically, it's done. Ta-da! It rotates freely, nicely. And that's basically job done! Ta-da! My first bearing ever changed!